Hello everyone, thank you for coming. I'm Sasha Gillenson, I'm a CEO of Evolvent Software, and I will be talking about the topic that was very popular during these few days of the conference, about how you actually preserve stability in very dynamic environments where there is a common push for making these environments more agile, more dynamic, more flexible. But first, let me just to give you a short background about who we are, and why we are talking about this topic. So Evolvent is a software vendor that develops a solution for IT operations analytics. And we deliver our solution to large organizations, medium to large enterprises. You can see here examples, some of the names of the customers that are using our product in their production environments, on critical business systems, on a large scale of thousands and tens of thousands of servers and devices. This area of operational analytics became very popular in the last few years, and so we got a lot of support and recognition, both from analysts. We're a cool vendor of Gartner, as well as media. We work closely with other leading ITSM and operation management providers, ServiceNow, Splunk, AppDynamics, as well as traditional vendors as well. But so what's the driver for this session, for this conversation? Again, nothing special here. Everyone knows that there is a demand for coming from the business to drive, to make more changes, to operate faster than ever, and it happens because the market became very dynamic. Business already dynamic for years, and so expectation is obviously for IT to support business. And again, to better serve business, you heard, this week, IT is adopting a variety of agile methodologies and tools, and all the different names. People implement continuous delivery, agile development, continuous integration, and so on and so on. So there is a lot of effort on coming from development side to make changes faster, to deliver more products more rapidly, more flexibly. The challenge is that if you look, particularly if we talk about the DevOps, and if you look at the dev side of the DevOps, dev side loves change. Change is good. That's what development is about, making more and more changes, right? When you look at the ops side, and even if it could be a different team or the same person just looking for the kind of post-deployment environment, and there the change gets a slightly different meaning. Change is becoming a root of all the evil. Like, why there are stability issues? Most of the stability issues happen because of the change. And so what we hear from our customers, they start to implement bimodal IT, they start to implement also the new methodology, is that from operations side, there's always this concern. Okay, you push more changes, there's more deployments. It's more agile. How actually I'm going to deal with all this deployments, with all these changes that are coming from the development side? And Gartner actually, in the latest last report that they published in October, they estimated that about 85% of all the incidents are caused by the change. And we believe actually that, if you look at the change as a wide sense, not just change in the code, but change in configuration, change in data, change in capacity, change in workload, that most of the issues can be explained by the change. All the rest is just hardware failures, okay? So if the change, it's a critical element of operations, operations are about the dealing with the change. There is a lot of undesired changes that risk stability of the environment. There are still, changes that bypass the change management process, unauthorized changes. With all the automation, we still see people doing the manual change, and manual change is prone to risks. Inconsistent changes that are not compatible with the standard policies. The ad hoc changes, when you need to break the glass, there is an issue, and just need to go and fix these issues. All those changes can create risks, can create instability. So how do you actually deal with that? How do you drive the change, and increase the pace of the change, and at the same time remain stable? And here, I'm using this analogy. Formula One is one of the fastest car in the world, right? And at the same time, it's pretty safe. If you look at the amount of incidents that happened, during the racing, it's unproportional to, it's too small considering the speed and the complexity of driving Formula One. Why this happens? Because there is a safety system. A safety system within the car, it's a driver, safety, it's a car safety, it's also monitoring, all the safety system around the car. So the same idea should be applied, in IT operations. There should be a strategy, there should be a set of processes and tools that actually allow you both, to be fast, but also safe. And one of the things that we are doing and evolving is actually implementing technology that helps us, to build the safety system. It's what we call blended analytics. What is it about? We actually focus on the change, again, as a source of most of the issues. So we collect information about the changes and we blend it with all the rest of the relevant data sources, like contextual information coming from service desk, from deployment automation tools, from CMDB on one hand, and also with symptoms, information coming from monitoring tools, log analytics, network management tools, and so on. So we take all this data and we blend it, we correlate this in our analytics engine and score it to answer 3 questions. The first question is actually, what actually changed, right? You want to know what happened in my environment, but also what of these changes caused an issue, caused an incident that I'm investigated, or can be potentially a risk, can potentially create a performance or availability incident. So the changes, it is a secret ingredient, the focus on the change. This is a unique approach to the safety system, to the safety systems that will ensure that the environment remains stable in spite of the pace of the changes. And for this safety system to work, every change counts, right? You need to know about every change, all the different change types, configuration, code, capacity, data, workload, the entire environment. You need to know about the entire environment from infrastructure, through the supporting software, underlying infrastructure, application, everything. And you need to know the changes at the most granular level, everything that happens. All the configuration parameters, that change. The individual database schema elements, the code, the strings, the rows of the lines of the code, the specific application master data values. It should be granular, and it should be real-time or close to real-time, so that the information is up to date, so that it's relevant for incident investigation, for incident prevention. And an example, what you can actually get, when you have all this information. Here is an example, of a complete view of a single pane of glass that consolidates all the data around the change. So you see, the horizontal lines as a context, as a change request and deployment that happens in the environment. The vertical lines are the actual changes that we detect in all these layers as the most granular level across all these different types of changes. And then the third piece is actually the alerts, KPIs, errors collected by the monitoring tools. And so just by looking at this, as this view, you understand the situation, what happened, We had these deployments, we had this change requests, they resulted in these changes. Some changes, unauthorized changes maybe slip through the process. And in the end, these are the alerts, these are the issues that we see as a result of this change being implemented. Now, one of the challenges is that once you go to this kind of extensive information, knowing about all the changes at the most granular level, it creates a lot of data. And the way to deal with the data, to actually translate the massive amounts of data into useful, operational, actionable insights, is analytics. So the one piece of technology that we have developed, that we are providing to our customers, is the analytics engine. An analytics engine does 2 tasks. It actually correlates the data, correlates the data with the change, correlates this monitoring data, correlates the service desk data, and so on. Align all this data, gets it together, and then it calculates the risk scores for each of the changes and associated blended data. And the risk score essentially is a probability that a particular change is a root cause of an incident that you are investigating, or is a probability that change will develop into an incident, performance, availability, or security incident. And in order to actually calculate this risk score, we use a number of different algorithms, domain-specific algorithms based on our understanding of the change, as well as machine learning. Right? You can see here, a bunch of examples, of these algorithms. Like, for example, machine learning ones. analyzing patterns of time distribution of a change. So for example, if we typically do all our infrastructure changes during the night, and suddenly we see the infrastructure change in the middle of the day, so there's some kind of emergency patch that has a higher risk than a regular change. Or another example of machine learning algorithm, scoring the changes is what we call loneliness. If you have a set of changes deployed and like 100 changes, 99 changes in the code, and one change in a particular configuration file, this lonely change typically has, again, rule of the thumb, typically has higher risk of creating a problem. So taking all these different algorithms, again, heuristics, statistics, machine learning, and combining them in a single score, we can estimate again the probability of a change creating a problem or in the future or actually the incidents that you're investigating. So how actually this technology, this change-centric analytics can help to accelerate with confidence, again, to keep the safe environment with a high pace of change. And I'm coming back to my analogy with Formula One, right? First of all, when you sit in the car, you need to fasten your seatbelt. You need to ensure before you deploy the change, before you drive the change into your production, you need to ensure that the environment is ready for deployment. So using this technology, you can ensure that all the prerequisites are in place. The configuration of environment is right, the environment is consistent, it's ready for the deployment. And then you need to maintain your situational awareness. You need to know all the actual changes are deployed, not just the planned changes. You really need to know what happens in all the layers of the environment, across all the silos. And in order to be proactive, to prevent the incidents, to reduce the risk proactively, you can assess the risk of the changes and deal with these high-risk changes before the incident happens. It never, it's not that you make a change and immediately there is an incident. There is always a time lag. It's minutes, hours, and sometimes it's even days, before the change develops in the incident. So you can use this time to proactively identify these high-risk changes and deal with them, remediate them, fix them, or mitigate a risk in another way. And if incident does happen, you want to minimize the impact. So you want to zero in on root cause as fast as possible. So using analytics and using this capability of analytics to identify the changes that are the most probable candidates for the root cause, you can resolve the issues much faster. So just to give you a sense, of how the product looks actually. So you see here a screenshot of the analytics screen, where again, you see consolidation of all the data collected by Evolve and also coming from the external tools, and also all the different analysis, the breakdowns, the automatic risk assessment, the ability to explore, slice and dice the changes, and see again what can cause a problem or what caused the problem. And so once you have this data, you can actually lead, with you can implement the automated causal analysis. And it's as simple as that, you have alerts, you click on the alert, and the system automatically correlates the relevant changes that could be causing this alert. And so you can explore them and again, very quickly identify the root cause. At the same time, to being on proactive side, you could validate, your changes before they cause a problem. For example, you can when you deploy a change, you can compare your production environment with pre-production after deployment. Are all the changes deployed as they were tested in pre-production environment? And if not, are there any critical discrepancies that need to be remediated before you go live? And to finish, actually Gartner, in the recent report in October 2015 made by Will Capelli, came to a conclusion that without a causal analysis, ability to find the cause of the problem, it will not be possible to take any action on availability and performance incidents in complex environment. So you can drive the change, you can increase the pace of the changes, but unless you have the analytics, unless you have the safety system, it will be very difficult to maintain stability in such an agile environment. So I know that this exhibition is closing in something like 20 minutes, but we are still there. We are actually across at the booth 579. So if you're interested to learn more and see the demo, come to our booth and we'll answer your questions. Thank you very much.